it's Lisa. Welcome to the very first day of Load Layout a Day. It's February the 1st, and I'm going to do my first layout for the month. I am not committing to do a layout every single day, but I want to get as many in as I can, working with the themes and the prompts that Lane is providing during this program. If you're not participating in Load, that's fine. It's just going to be a regular process video after we get through just a couple minutes. I want to share what I did to prepare for Load this month, and then today's theme and how I'm going to be using that, or today's prompt. So what I did to prepare for doing a whole month of scrapbooking is I went through my products and looked at things that, especially collections that I wanted to kind of work out of my stash, things that I don't have as much left, or I just haven't maybe even used a whole lot, and I'd like to start using some of those down, and clipped off a few little pieces of paper so I would have those handy to see what worked with photos, and made a list of some of the products that I particularly wanted to use. I also listed out some topics that I thought might go well with our theme, which has to do with childhood books and stories, and then some books, particular books, some stories, and then just some things that were currently going on, so I would, or that I had photos of recently, that so I wouldn't be sitting here wondering, what am I going to scrap today? I took quite a few pictures. I went through some of my books and took photographs of things that I read when I was younger, and I even had a photo of me reading. So I had those printed up. I'm actually not going to use any of those today because today's topic is leading me in a little bit different direction. I'll get to that in just a moment. The other thing I have handy is my 2014 sketchbook. You can find a link for this over on my blog if you're interested in getting the sketchbook. It has 52 sketches in it, and they go from one photo all the way up to, I can't remember, well, this one has something like 17 photos or something in it. There's one-pagers, two-pagers. You can do all kinds of different things with these sketches, and they're all to scale. So there's a lot more information about that over on my blog if you're interested in the sketchbook. I have selected a sketch out of it to use today, and I'll be also creating some new sketches this month as well. Today's sketch I picked because our prompt today had to do with what character in literature you most identified with when you were growing up. Well, that for me would probably be Nancy Drew, but you're going to hear a lot about these Nancy Drew books later on in the month. I have other stories I want to tell about those, and of course I could use them more than one time. But when I really was thinking about the prompt and how characters influenced me, I read a lot as a child, and I still read a lot. I typically don't read a book more than once. Other than Nancy Drew, that was probably the only thing I read that was in a series. I may have read some of the Little House books, but I wasn't as into those as it was other things. So I didn't have a particular character that I spent a ton of time with. However, on television, there were lots of characters, and those influenced me a great deal. And that's where I spent my time as a young girl, pretending to be different characters. So I'm going to deviate from the book theme today and go to a television theme, but it's still going to have to do with characters. I picked this particular sketch because it had a lot of journaling space and not, an area for a small amount of photos, because I don't have a ton of photos for this. It also had this area up here where I could do something really dreamy, like maybe clouds, because it's dreaming. Although I'm beginning to think maybe I won't do clouds. I might do stars up there. But anyway, it's not heavy on pattern paper, but it is heavy on journaling, and maybe some places for some other interesting accents for the page. What I've done for my story is gone ahead and typed up my journaling so I knew how much room that I would need for that. And I got off of the internet some photos and logos for some TV shows that the characters really resonated with me. Now, I didn't necessarily dream of growing up to be a genie. It would have been nice to be able to blink my eyes or wiggle my nose like Samantha and make things magically happen. That didn't happen. But I did really love The Lucy Show. And as I go through doing the page, I'll explain to you why I picked these particular shows and the other ones that are in the journaling and what those meant for me. But right now, I need to pick product for this particular page. So I'm going to get started doing that, and I will switch to a voiceover. My load preparation has led me to several different collections. I had some cloud paper, but I decided it was a little too busy. Some October Afternoon Travel Girl, which has kind of an adventure theme and some really good colors for these pictures that I'm using. But in the end, I decided to do more of an office theme, and I go to some Stampin' Up! Stickers and stamps. Now, I hope that you can hear me okay. My audio I'm having difficulty with. I spent a couple of hours today trying to get my microphone to work. I've never had any trouble with it, but it is not working right today. So I am just talking to the computer and trying to be as quiet as possible in the background so that you can hear me. So I apologize for any problems. I hope that it will work out. Now, the background paper that I did decide to use was a new product from Stampin' Up! That you add mist or inks or whatever to bring the color out. We'll see that in just a moment. And here are some of these Stampin' Up! Things that I pulled out. The reason I wanted an office theme, and one of the reasons why I like the Lucy shows so much, was this was the second series that she did where she was out on her own. And at first Vivian Vance was in the series, and then that actress left, and so Lucy moved to California, and she got an apartment, and she got a job, and I just loved that. And I thought, you know, she did all kind of crazy things, but she was a very independent woman. And there were a lot of shows that were starting to come around at that time. The Mary Tyler Moore Show. I like to pretend that I was part of MASH. Now, I don't know why I would want to be part of a war zone, but all of that, you know, going around helping people and really being able to be effective and all that really appealed to me. So there were certain shows with the characters that I liked to pretend. And for some reason I liked Genie and Bewitched and all as well, and those just really ignited my imagination. So those are shows that I picked, and that's what goes into my journaling. Now for this background, I'm using some direct ink to paper. There are lots of different ways to use this product from Stampin' Up! It's part of their celebration line, where you buy so much and you get a product. And I did a whole video on this with lots of different ways of bringing the embossed image to light. This time I'm just applying ink, but here's where my first problem today came in, is I dropped my ink pad on my paper. And so I rotated my paper, and we're going to cover up that area at the bottom where the ink pads are. Now the way the sketchbook works is everything is to scale, and the sketches print out at 6 inches. So if you're doing a 12 by 12 page, you just double everything. So that measurement there at the bottom was 3/4 of an inch. If I double it to 1.5 inches, then I can see, you know, pretty much where my paper needs to go across there. My second mistake was when I cut that paper off camera, I cut it with the diagonal going the wrong way, and then I had to cut some more of it going the correct way. I had a lot of stickers. Oh, and there's my another problem. I tore my stickers. These were really old stickers. I don't even know what brand they are. So I'm going to have to piece my stickers back together, or my border sticker that I was basing my whole color scheme on that border sticker. So I really want to use it, and I'm going to piece it back together. I end up putting it back on the place where the little place where the sticker came off of to get it glued back together, because nothing else seems to be working well. Some border stickers aren't a full 12 inches, and for some reason it didn't dawn on me that I could have just measured this thing and seen whether it was 12 inches or not, but I put it back on its original packaging, got it semi-glued together and onto my page, and it stays put. Now I have this little TV from Julie Nutting that I want to use, chipboard, and we'll need to do some painting to that. And I'm going to need to print my journaling on. I also have these Studio Calico stars, or sunbursts, I guess. There's probably what they're supposed to be, but I'm going to use them like stars, and I'm going to use those and some rhinestones. Now, one thing that did go really well was printing the journaling. I just adjusted the spacing so that it would fit nicely on some journaling paper, and I cut my fake file folder there out of a real manila folder. Cut that with the silhouette. So our words are going to be, I dreamed, and then in the text it says, of Jeannie, loved Lucy, and and all these different things. And it talks about all the different shows that I like, the Partridge Family, Mary Tyler Moore Show, lots of different things where there were a lot of strong female characters. I didn't realize it at the time, why I liked those particular shows, but they did influence me, because what I dreamed about was getting out and getting a job, having my own apartment, and then having a house, and I got to do all that stuff. I never did figure out how to blink my eyes, though, and make things move across the room, so unfortunately. All right, we need to put some color on this little chipboard, and I have found with these pieces, I think these are from Prima, a light color works best with them. Now, my next mistake is going to come in here in a minute. I'm going to add some color, a couple of different layers of color to this, and things are going to go okay until I go in with a marker, and I get a little bit too much marker on it in places, but we'll deal with that too. I'm just starting light and working my way darker in the colors, and I end up putting some vintage photo around the very edge. I do that off camera. And I'm going to add some silver here for the controls on the TV. It wasn't silver enough, so later on I added some liquid pearls, but you get the idea of what's going on here. This is where I get a little bit heavy-handed with my marker, and I go down a little bit too far, and then I go to wipe it off, and I get too much of it wiped off. So it's okay. It's not maybe my best element, but it's all right. Okay, I'm starting to get things assembled. I want to use these paper clips. These are old basic gray product. They were one of the things that was on my list that I wanted to use during load. And you can see my ink mess there is going to get all covered up with the different elements. My voice is also still a tad scratchy. We have all been battling the cold around my house for the last month. And when we think we're better. Now there's a date stamp there. I considered using that, but it ends up being one where you have to pick a specific year, and this isn't a specific year. This goes on for quite a long time. So I'll do a little bit of stamping up there on the manila folder and start to pull the rest of the page together. First page for load 215 is done. Oh my gosh, this has been the most challenging page with all kinds of things going wrong, stuff I had to cover up. At the last minute when I was putting my camera back up after unloading some of the video that was there, I dropped it and made a spot on my layout and then had to cover that up. I've had sound problems today. I've spent nearly 2 hours trying to get the sound working back on my computer, and it's still not quite right. But we have a page done. And I love my page because it tells a great story to me of my childhood, of how I watched all these wonderful old TV shows, and there were such great things that were syndicated back in the 70s when I was growing up, late 60s and 70s. And how I used those characters that were part of my dreams and what I wanted to be. And you wouldn't think that some of them were, but they were to me. So anyway, let's take a look at our sketch. I didn't really do a big element here, but I did put in my little stars, kind of the dreaming sort of theme there, and then did several small photos here in place of the photo and the journaling card. Used a big journaling block, a little bit larger than what the sketch shows, because that's what I needed to continue to get all my journaling in. Did the office theme, a couple of things there. I didn't end up using that big date stamp because you had to pick a specific year with it, and this would have been over several different years. I did use some of these stickers from Stampin' Up! That look like little tags that kind of went with the office sort of theme and filled in a little bit of this blank space here, and the TV from the Julie Nutmeg chipboard there. So I did add a little trim along here to continue the star theme and kind of expand that out. There's a little bit of empty space. Stamped original and put a couple of little rhinestones in there to go with the ones at the top. And of course all this is on that Stampin' Up! Background with the ink to make the little stars show up. So anyway, there's my page. You can find the journaling over on my blog, as well as a link to the sketchbook if you're interested in the 2014 sketches, all 52 sketches. It's a real good price. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to have a lot more videos for you in the rest of the month, and hopefully with a lot less drama. Thanks. Bye-bye.